Hello everyone, welcome back to E20 Zone TV on this Wednesday evening. Hope everyone is all well out there in the world. To my right is Jay, and we're here to talk about players we want to keep, players we want to sell, and players we want to loan. I did put something up on X, and people were going, well, how can you sell Mohamed Kudus? Watch till the end of the video, and you will find out if we are going to want to sell him or not. Do you know what I'm saying? Jay, how are you doing before we get started?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I saw your post. I saw the horror in the reactions from you putting a picture of Mo Kudus next to Sell just for a thumbnail, which did make me laugh. The reactionary nature of social media, right? But so be it. How are you, my friends?
All good, mate. All good. Looking forward to Saturday, but we're here to talk about players we want to keep and players we want to get rid of. Now, let's start off with the goalkeepers, right? I broke this down into sections on this. So, Jay, take it away. Tell me you want to keep and sell out of all them lot.
First of all, we will sell League One West over my dead body. This man deserves his Premier League bow for West Ham United. All jokes aside, we've got a pretty difficult situation with the goalkeepers, don't we? You've got Fabs, who's been a great servant for the club, but at the same time, he's at the end of his contract. The rumor was circling that he signed another year. I wouldn't be against it as a sort of cheap 1-year option to mean that we haven't got to go out and there's no pressure on the situation, shall we say, because we know we can kind of rely on him, even though his best years are behind him. And the big debate is Alphonse Areola. He's got to earn his place in the squad for the rest of the season. It looks like Potter's going to give him a go. Like as we mentioned Monday, I think we spoke on Monday, didn't we? We talked on Monday about the dichotomy of Alphonse Areola, brilliant shot stopper, but not great at passing. So I think if you could get the right money for Areola and get a better keeper, depending on the transfer budget, I'd probably sell him. But what is the right money, mate? What do you reckon?
I reckon Fabianski's got to go. Anyone who wants to keep him, I'm sorry. You've got to not be sentimental. He's done his time. He's 40 years old. How long do you keep the man? Areola, tricky one for me. I think he ain't a bad goalkeeper to a point, but I don't think we could find better. And our League One Wes is there for the British quota, isn't he? So I'm going to say you get rid of Fab, you keep Areola, and you probably keep Fotheringham and bring in another goalkeeper for me. What are you saying?
Yeah. I think I'm going to look at things like maybe slightly differently, and I'm going to say I keep Wes. I probably keep Fabs. Just from we're going to have a limited budget perspective, and I probably only sell Areola if you can upgrade him and if it fits in a budget. I'm going to say, for argument's sake, I'm going to say sell, and I'm going to say go balls to the wall for Kelleher and bring Kelleher to West Ham.
Fair enough. We'll go to this man. Obviously, he's done his time at West Ham. I think we both agree that his time is coming to an end. I'm going to say sell. Jay's probably going to say the same. What's your thoughts on him and his career at West Ham, more to the point?
Mate, a decade of Aaron Cresswell, and a lot of people have got very short memories. People will look at the defining moment of his West Ham career being the away game in Frankfurt, where he got himself a red card and we went out in the semi-final. I look at it a little bit more long-term. You look at we've never been blessed with brilliant fullbacks. You go back to Julian Dix, the last time we had a left back who was probably worth their salt for West Ham United. And you look at Aaron Cresswell and you go, 2014 we signed him, and he was such a consistent performer for a long time. Got himself an England squad in 2016 in that season when we were just so fun to watch. So, mate, he's had a great career at West Ham. Will always be welcome back. Doesn't get the respect he deserves, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, now's the time for him to call it at West Ham, I think.
Let's go to this man. Vladimir Coufal, contract running down. What do you do with this man?
I want to just say on Coufal first and foremost, right? Model professional at West Ham. He's been brilliant for the club. Come in again at a time when we were struggling. has given everything and has put in some really, really important performances for West Ham as well. And like him and Soucek just embody what you want in a West Ham player. So it'll be begrudgingly, I'm going to say he's out of contract. I think we need to upgrade. My thoughts on this is we probably need to move him on. His legs are starting to go. He doesn't quite get up and down the pitch like he once did. And he got bodied against Aston Villa when he was playing the right centre-back role when we conceded that goal. So I say probably time for Vlad. You've probably got a loving home up in Liverpool waiting for you. And go and get Kyle Walker-Peters on a free. And I think it's a big upgrade and everyone's happy with
that. We signed him for what, 5 mil?
Yeah.
He's been a really good servant to West Ham. But I do think the age and the speed of the Premier League is where it's catching him out quite a lot, in my opinion. For me, I'd get rid of him. I think he's done his time. I don't think he's worth a 1-year extension, like Lucas just says there, as Lucas comes in. I'm not on that vibe. I think we need fresh, young talent, and especially with a style that Potter's going to play. What position does really Soufal play other than right back? I don't think he's a right wing back, so to speak. So I don't think he's got the energy to get up and down the pitch. What would you say on that?
Yeah, I was just gonna add on to that's a real problem position, I think, long term for West Ham.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about what Wan-Bissaka does in the right wing back position. There are things that he does brilliantly, but he stifled Kudus a little bit with the positions he likes to take up, a little bit inverted and a little bit central. There are times it's brilliant and there are times it really kills what Mo's trying to do. What we need is like a flying fullback who's going to get up and down, who's going to have good delivery. Whilst Vlad's got good delivery, he can't get up and down anymore. And that's where I think his time at West Ham has come to an end and he doesn't really fit what Potter's going to do, but Kyle Walker-Peters would do. And the long-term solution of potentially having Wan-Bissaka as a right centre-back and Walker-Peters as a right wing-back, I like the sound of it. It looks really good.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I agree. Well, we'll come to this, man. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, first season at West Ham. Probably the best signing, really, of the summer. Would you agree on that, Jay?
I couldn't disagree with you, to be honest. I said he was the player that I was most excited for when we finished the transfer window. We get you can see the full package of Wan-Bissaka now. Like he's obviously playing with a lot of confidence, and he's had some brilliant performances in West Ham shirt. But he does fall asleep, and he does we knew what we were getting about his back post defending and stuff. He's a lot lazier than I thought he would be, but he's still a top quality right back. I'm very happy with him, mate. We've got him for another 6 years or so I'm pretty happy with him.
Yeah, Lucas is trying to have a wind up. He might need a loan. I don't think so, Lucas.
Who put 50p in Lucas tonight? Fuck's sake.
Yeah, Lucas has had a few beers, mate. They're nectar. You know what I mean? We come to this man because there's no point in me speaking about Wan-Bissaka because it's obvious. Emerson, what do we do with Emerson? Right, if someone said to you right now, you get 10 million for Emerson or 8 million for Emerson, do you let Emerson go next year and then upgrade Scarles?
I mean, he's 30 years old, mate. 10 million for a left back would be really good money. And again, this is where traditionally we've not been very good at player trading. And you look at him and you go, has he been brilliant this season? Probably not. He's probably starting to get there in this new formation. But I think 10 mil would be good money for him. It's just the only thing you got to be conscious of is whether we're going to have the budget to go out and replace a player like Emerson. It's just probably something where we tried to do too much too quickly in the transfer window just gone. And we tried to overhaul the whole squad and we left gaps and we ended up getting players who weren't up to it. So the danger you've got if you were to turn around and say sell Emerson is, have you got a replacement for the same money who is an upgrade on what he is? If the answer is yes, then I say, yeah, cool, move him on. But if the answer is no, keep him for another season and then move him on the following season with probably more budget to spend in that area is what I'd say.
Emerson keep, but I want to go back to Italy. Family reasons. Mrs. wants the kids to grow up there. I don't blame him, mate. For me, it's a tricky one with Emerson because I think Scarles is close to being that sort of fullback that we want. I don't think Emerson's here, so I'm gonna say that I think Potter might get rid of him. If he decides to go or he wants to leave, I don't think West Ham are going to stop him from leaving, if that makes sense. So I'm going to say he might leave to a point. What are you saying? Keep, sell, or?
If you get, I'd say if you get 10 mil, I would say sell him, and it gives more of a route into the first team for Ollie Scarles. But you have to be able to go and replace him. You have to be able to go and get someone who is as good to give Scarles. Like, you can't put the pressure on him being the starting left wing back for an entire season. He needs to be able to rotate, and he needs probably to have that competition as well. So yeah, I would say 10 mil if you can replace him. I'd sell him and wish him well.
Pretty simple one. You keep Ollie Scarles in the side for next year, Jay. What are you saying?
Mate, we've been talking about him all season, haven't we? That he deserved his chance, and he grabbed it with two hands, and he's been brilliant so far. Like I say, he looks like he's Premier League quality. He looks like he's going to keep getting better. I'm really excited for the future for Ollie Scarles, and I hope that sooner rather than later he gets a run of games. Like, if he could oust Emerson out of the team at some point towards the end of the season, when we're like mathematically safe, like, give him a run of games, give him 3 or 4 games to start and go and show what he can do for like in full 90 minutes in the Premier League. Mate, you keep him around. I think he's a top quality player, and who's at 50 being Kane as well.
Oh no, mate! I swear, it must be Wednesday Club at the fucking Boozer. Do you know what I mean? Because they've all got something to say about it. Listen, I think this kid's going to be the future replacement. I think he's been integrated into the side now to sort of develop him fast, so next season he can be pretty much a first team starter to a point. So yeah, keep for me 100% on him. Let's come to this man, Mr. Mavropanos, the Greek statue. Jay.
Oh God, this guy. I don't like to hate on individual players, but he's not shown that he's up to the standard of the Premier League. Like, he's been a liability. He's been probably our most difficult player to watch for me, just because he's so shaky at the back. He's so out of position. Amount of times he's the one playing when we played a high line, he's the one who's deep and is playing people onside. He's got his arm up in the air, which is my pet hate. If you're playing a high line, keep your arms down. When it goes over the top, just let the linesman do his job. Yeah. If he doesn't do his job, let VAR get it. But the amount of times he'll just be hand up, appealing for offside. It's like, just play to the whistle. God, it drives me mental. I would sooner, at the moment, again, it depends on, we'll talk about again in a moment, I'm sure. I just don't think this guy's good enough. If you keep Aged around, then I would say sell Mavropanos, see if you can get 10 mil for him. Go out and get an up-and-coming young centre-back who can be our third, fourth choice or whatever, and I think you're fine. Yeah, I just don't think this guy's up to it, to be honest.
Simple one for me. Needs to go. Not good enough. Shit. Can't defend on the ground, does stupid things, and we need better defenders than that. We need 3 or 4 of Max Kilman's. That's what we need. People who are consistently good, might have the odd bad game, but listen, they're human. But Mav, he has too many bad games and not enough good games for me. It's a simple sell. We come to Max. I'll go first. It's a simple keep for me. £40 million. I think he's had a really good season so far this year. What are you saying on Kilman?
Yeah, I think Max has shown in the last couple of games how worthwhile he is. How valuable he is. Sorry, that's the word I was looking for. How valuable he is to that back line. He's been dealing with absolute dross alongside him all season. He's been dealing with playing a high line alongside Mavropanos. He's playing with 2 fullbacks at centre back either side of him, and he's showing how good he is. I think he's a victim of how expensive he was in the summer, and we all raised eyebrows and all went, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money to spend on someone who's not really not kicked on to his peak ability yet. If it wasn't for his £40 million price tag, we'd be sitting here going, Jesus Christ, what a signing this guy is. I'm really happy with him, mate. I think he's probably been the most consistent. Yes, he's not perfect, but at the same time, I think he'll keep getting better the more we get used to this formation and the more that players start to come back to fitness and perhaps with another signing alongside him as well. I really, really hope we get to at least see in pre-season next season Kilman, Todibo, and Aged, just to see what it looks like, just to kind of satisfy that curiosity, even if it's only for 2 games. I just want to see what it's like, because I've got this feeling that just won't go away, that is a serious back 3 that could do really well in the Premier League. So yeah, really happy with Max overall.
Mr. Todibo, do you know what? I don't know how to assess this one, because part of me thinks that his head sometimes is not with West Ham, his head's elsewhere. Other times, I think he is on it. What are you saying about him? Obviously, we've got to buy him, but
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't sell him straight away, does it? Like if you
Yeah.
if you get an offer, like you pay the money, you take the hit, and it is what it is. But I don't think that's the way to go, personally. You look at how he joined the club. He made a decision to come to West Ham for whatever reason, even though if he'd have waited it out, he probably would have gone to Juventus. He joined, he couldn't get fit. He did get fit. He looked pretty decent. Yeah, he has looked a little bit shaky at times, but he's one for the future. And again, because he comes with quite a big price tag, I don't know what the overall option is. I see different like contrasting stories about it being 20 mil, about being 35 mil. I don't know. The money isn't important, but we've got a player who was a bit of a coup when he signed and who's shown the qualities and the capabilities on the ball where, again, this could be our long-term future at centre-back. I think he also joined and obviously didn't get on with a manager and there was a big fallout. And I think he's got a couple of like temper issues. I don't know. He seems to want to fight for his place now. I think the next few weeks will be key. Can we get him fit straight away? And can we get him playing to the best of his ability? If the answers are yes to both of those, then yeah, cool. He is the player that we thought we were going to get. If he can't stay fit and we still see the same Todibo for the rest of the season, who has a bit of an error in him and isn't quite good enough in the air and stuff like that, then maybe you look at moving him on. But I certainly think he's worth at least another first half of next season. And I think the best is yet to come from him as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say keep, obviously, but yeah, we need to see a bit more. I think he needs to have a good end to the season, stay fit, be like enthusiastic, and put in some decent performances. We spoke about this man Monday. Now it's over to the public. What are you all saying about Whufc? For me, I'll go first. I think you bring this geezer back, and if he wants to stay at West Ham, he's a good player to have. He's a better player than Mav. Let's put it like that. So I would keep him for that purposes. If someone said to me right now, you got Mavropanos or Whufc, which one do you want to keep? I know which one I'm keeping. So, Jay, what are you saying on this?
Agree with that. And I'm interested. I'm watching chat to see what people think, keep or sell. I say slap a price tag on him and then sit there and just wait for the offer and just pray for that sweet, sweet Saudi money to come in. If you put 40 mil in his head and say 40 mil or nothing, knowing that you'll come down anyway, just hope that like an Al Nassr or some crazy Saudi club comes in and goes, oh yeah, he had a good season in Spain. We'll take him, and just hope that someone comes in and is daft enough to pay that amount of money. And if they're not, and if the interest disappears, then cool. Let's just see. Let's have a look at him in pre-season and see what happens. If he's still like his head's not quite in it, or maybe doesn't look like he's up to the Prem again, then cool. Lower your price and sell him. But I certainly think under a new manager, he's worth having a look at and at least seeing what he can do.
What's the minimum before we move on? What's the minimum that you would accept for him?
I think it depends on a lot of things, mate. Depends on how he is when he comes back. But he's certainly worth his value of like. I think originally we would have probably taken 20 mil like last summer. This summer, I think it's 25 to 30 is what you've got to be looking to try and get.
So if someone comes in and says 25, do you let him go?
If the manager if he's not in a manager's plans and 25 mil, then I say, yeah. If he's in the manager's plans, then you slap a high price tag on him and say, someone come and buy him then. Which is, again, what we've not been like particularly good at in the past. So, yeah, I think if the manager doesn't want him, 25 mil is good money and it's money to reinvest in another centre-back.
Let's come to this man, Mr. Casey. Keep or loan? Because we ain't selling him.
I think loan. I think this lad needs a big summer in the gym, and I think he needs a move to like a championship or a League One side. He looks, again, everything I see, like the signs look good, but the difference between him and Ollie Scarles is Ollie Scarles doesn't need to be as physically good. What Scarles is really good at is reading when to jump in with a tackle. Now, what Casey doesn't have the luxury of is being a bit more slight. He has to be super on it positionally and he has to be super strong. Otherwise, he's going to get bullied and we're going to ruin this kid. My mind goes back to Reece Oxford away at Everton when he started and had 45 of the worst minutes of football that I've ever seen. And he was just never the same player after that. Came off when we were 2-0 down. We ended up winning the game 3-2. So, like, you look at how easy it would be to damage a centre-back like that. I would say, mate, get in the gym, steak and eggs every day, go to your championship side, have a good season, and bring him back. Probably a better player for it, personally.
What sort of club would you loan him to, though?
Portsmouth, mate. you look at what Portsmouth have done with Freddie Potts, and I would say I like the idea of us building partnerships with clubs that, I just like the idea of building partnerships with clubs that look after our youngsters. You look at the likes of Portsmouth, you look at the likes of Wycombe. Wycombe look after our youngsters pretty well. So it depends what standard they think is going to suit him. If it was League One, I'd say send him to Wycombe straight away. If it's Championship, I say send him to Portsmouth. And you know that they'll get looked after, and you know that they'll probably do well there. So yeah, one of the clubs like that, I'd say.
Right, let's come to midfielders. Right, and let's start off with the two youngsters, Potts and Orford. One's on loan, one's currently with us. Does one go on loan and does one stay? And which one is it?
I just don't think there's going to be enough space in the squad for both of them to stick around, is there? I purely think that Potts has had such a good season. He needs to come back and be around the first team next year. Right. I think he's earned it. He's probably going to get Player of the Year at Portsmouth, and there's no point really sending him back to a Championship club because we've seen what he's capable of doing at that level. Like, we now need to see what he's capable of doing at this level. And you know what my mind goes back to? Well, mine goes back to Grady Diangana as to like what could have been. And hear me out with this chat before anyone like jumps on my back, right? Because I was watching West Brom the other day, and Grady Diangana is in the form of his life at the moment. And he was playing in the 10. He was everywhere. He looked really good. And all they were talking about is he's towards the end of his contract at West Brom. He's probably going to leave. And I was like, I wonder where he'll go, whether he'll get a move to like Spain or somewhere like that and end up playing at the top level. I look back at the way he left, and I remember being so excited for what him and Sebastian Haller could have done together. And in pre-season, they were linking up beautifully, and it looked great. And then he got sold to West Brom. Obviously, Mark Noble come out on social media and like had a go at the owners for it. Went to West Brom, and he was just never the same player. I imagine that really hurt his confidence and stunted his growth. And I look back and I go, I just wonder what would have happened if he was at West Ham, the club that he clearly loved. He'd come through the youth academy. He'd had his breakout moment in the Championship. Could he have become a better player than he's become today? Like, maybe. Yeah. So I don't want to see Freddie Potts get sold, and I don't want to see him go back out on loan again. I want to see him in the first team because he fits in that mold of player that we're desperately going to need next season. So I say we keep Potts around and he becomes a first team squad player. Orford's a funny one, isn't he? Because he gets a lot of grief from people for passing it sideways and backwards. I remember a certain other defensive midfielder who used to get grief for that a lot as well. He's coming on in games where we're behind and he's being asked to go and like change the game with these like cutting balls that it's just not his game, and he's not got the ability to do yet, but it will come with time. So I'm not against him sticking around. I personally think my comments about Caelan Casey, you could apply to Lewis Orford as well. Get him in the gym, get him physically ready. Declan Rice really stepped up when he got physically ready, and he was all up and down the pitch, and he was winning like 50-50s, and he was winning duels everywhere. Haven't seen that from Orford yet. So I'd say to him the same thing. Get in a gym over the summer. Let's have a look at him in pre-season. If you can find a good loan for him, send him out on loan and see what he can do. If he looks ready, then keep him around. But I would say loan is probably best for him.
I'm going to say you swap him around. You bring Potts back. I think if you give Potts another loan, then he's another Connor Coventry 2.0 all over again. Just keep loaning the keys around. Yeah. I think Orford needs a loan. All right, I'll keep saying it. People say, oh, no, you've got to reinvest in the youth and the Academy of Football. Sometimes you've got to use the loan system to help these players develop faster. For me, Orford needs a loan. There's no point having him here if he's just going to come on for 10 minutes a game. Like, what are we learning? Yeah. So I make mine short and sweet. Bring Potts back, loan out Orford, and I think Potts might be ready to come in and do something, hopefully, next season. Right, let's come to these two. One's a meme, and one's shit. Make of it what you make of it. Jay, what you said about Guido and Irving?
I mean, it's pretty telling that Guido Rodriguez was an absolute calamity under Lopetegui when Lopetegui was the man that pushed to get him in, and now he can't get a kick under Potter. Just get this guy out for whatever fee you can get. If you could get like £1 million for him, then great. See you later, pal. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I can be pretty short and sweet on that. He's not up to it. Let's just move him on for whatever we can. Andy Irving, like you again, I'm sure you similar to me, James, have seen like the headlines coming out recently about how hard he's working to try and like prove himself and get himself used to the Premier League. And He's only just made his first start. He generally did pretty well. I don't know, mate. Like, I don't think he's it. And I think he's going to be blocking the routes to the first team for the likes of Freddie Potts and the likes of Lewis Orford.
Yeah.
And I'd rather invest the time into those two than I would Andy Irving. So I think if you get a decent offer, you sell him. But I also think, like, hats off to him for, like, working his arse off to try and get up to the standards, and he'll probably get at least another chance before the end of the season to come in and start a game. So I hope he does well, and like, good luck to him. But as far as I'm concerned, if you can get a decent fee for him, then yeah, I'd wave him goodbye personally. See him and his Nissan Juke drive down the M1 to wherever he's going.
Tricky one on Irving, really, because he hasn't really been given the opportunity. Like, he's played certain games, but he hasn't. Is he the player that we sort of want to make us be a top 8 side? I don't think it is. Guido, I ain't got to say no more on that. He's had 1 half of decent football in the whole time he's been here, and that's probably at Spurs in the first half of that game, where he was excellent. Other than that, he's been absolutely shy. Yeah, Guido, Tolar, I'll take you to City Airport tonight. And Irving, tricky one. It really is, because I think if you get a decent fee for him, then you're going to have to let him go. Yeah, and then, like, if you said, just for argument's sake, Angel Gomez comes in and you take Irving out, it's a different ballgame, isn't it, altogether? So
100%. That's the kind of player trading we've got to be looking at. Can you get? I see someone saying, George in the chat saying, take 15 mil for a championship team. I don't see anyone paying 15 mil for him, mate.
10 mil, I reckon.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 mil. I'd say, yeah. Get 10 mil for Andy Irving, get Gomez in on a free, and that's good player trading. Like, when we're going to have a really restricted budget, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Or it'd be someone like a Leeds United, someone who's coming up, who might look at buying young up and coming players. So, is what it is. We come to this man. He has returned, James Ward-Prowse. But do you want him to us to keep him moving forward, Jay?
I've said before, I really like Ward-Prowse. Like, he gets massively disrespected. The only thing that weighs on my head here is, like, he's on a massive, massive wage. And can you afford, like, to keep a depreciating asset, paying him 125 grand a week? Like, I don't know. Again, it depends on budget wise. Like, it's really difficult. I'm really happy that he's back. I think he's going to do really good work with the likes of Ollie Scarles and with the likes of Lewis Orford, who are around the squad at the moment. I think he's the experienced kind of head that we need in the camp, and the leader that we've been completely missing. I find it really interesting thinking back to like early on in the season, we were saying we were completely bereft of leadership and what we would do for leaders. Ward-Prowse comes back because Potter's probably identified the same kind of issue, and now people are going, don't bring Ward-Prowse back. He's not good enough. And I'm like, there's more to it than just like what he's going to do. He's not going to start games. He's going to come on with 20 minutes to go and we need a goal or something like that. So it's a long way of me saying we paid a lot of money for him, 20 odd mil. He's on 120 something grand a week. Amortization, probably need to get about 12, 13 mil for him, which I think you could probably get from somebody. Again, a team that's coming up will probably take a punt. I think Southampton will probably take him back if he wants to go to the Championship. Does he want to go there? I don't know. But yeah, I think you probably have to sell just from again, getting someone through the youth academy or getting a younger up and coming player in and taking his place in the squad.
I think if he comes back and he performs to the standards that he was last season, and someone said it on Twitter, and I make him 100% right. If we were signing a player that had scored goals and made goals last season, and we signed him in the January window, everyone would be going mad. Like, he's going to like revolutionise West Ham. If James Ward-Prowse comes in and is effective, I would keep him next year. I think we need experience in the ranks. We can't just flood it with unknowns. We need people that are going to bring a good feel-good factor around West Ham for me. And James Ward-Prowse is the sort of person who, he's not a bad influence in the dressing room. He's a good influence. He's going to help people like Bowen and that. The wages is a problem, but we're going to get onto a player later on whose wages will be disappearing, and it's going to free it up. I would keep him. I really would. As long as he performs from now to the end of the season to a standard that he was last season. If he comes in, doesn't really do anything, and someone comes in, offers, say, 20 mil for him, can we really turn it down? Do you know what I mean? How much would you say is fair, Jay, before we move on? For him,
for Ward-Prowse, I say if someone come in and offered 15 mil, you'd have to take it immediately. I think a fair offer would be somewhere between 10 and 13. Realistically, you consider, what is he, 31 now? Again, 125 grand a week. You've got to consider how much that weighs on your wage bill as well. So I think that'd probably be a fair offer, to be honest.
So is he worth losing for that though?
This is the thing, is like, and we'll come on to a much debated man in centre midfield in a moment as well. But you need someone who's an experienced head who gets the club around. So you have to keep someone like that at the club. So it's a really, really difficult one for me, because, like I say, I like the player. I like what he brings to the squad. So it just depends on who you've got in the door. So I would say at 10 mil, I would keep him. At 15 mil, I would probably sell him.
Fair enough. The Mexican thug. We all know who that is. Edson Alvarez. Where do we begin here? Jay.
Man's an absolute liability, and he like an absolute liability. And this is where I hope that we've already identified a really, really good six that you can get for decent money, because we need somebody who's not a walk-in yellow card. We need somebody who's not going to always be at risk of a red card as well. And probably someone who's a bit calmer on the ball as well. He's struggled when he gets the ball to like take his time and survey what's around him. He quite often will get it and just play the first pass that he can, because he's so scared of losing the ball. And in a Potter style system, you're going to need a bit more than that. Otherwise, we're going to forever be like just playing the ball around the back like we were under the previous head coach. So for me, I think you got to get money for him and upgrade on him as quickly as you can in the summer. Because if we go into another season with the same kind of like problems that we've got in centre midfield this season, I don't think we're going to kick on, and I think we're going to struggle again next year personally. So I say sell.
Yeah, I see Kane's on a wind up. Defend your captain, E20. I will do, mate. He's fucking shit. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, if you get a good fee for this man, in excess of say 20 mil, maybe 22, but between 15 and 25 in that ballpark, I think you got to sell him. I think you have to sell him. I think he's a bit of a walking problem at the minute, and he's a walking yellow card. And then once he gets the yellow card, he's a walking red card straight away. So yeah, I would, unless his mindset changes and he becomes a better player, which I don't think he can do. I don't think Potter can make miracles at this geezer. I would probably look to get him out. But if he can get to the standard that we want and be that sort of defensive midfielder, I'm not opposed to him staying. It's one of them ones, really. Do you know what I'm saying? As long as we can find better than him, then you take it to a point.
Yeah.
Right, let's come to this, man. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Thomas Soucek. Oh, what you said about that in the chat? What you said about that?
Yeah, I'm interested in chat's opinion on keep or sell Thomas Soucek. Christ. I mean, look, this man on paper is everything I would ever want from a West Ham player, to be honest. Like he's bled for the shirt like 5-6 times. He comes up with big goals. Like
let's put it in this way. Yeah, because I see people say, we can't say that. You can say it because every player's up for sale. Right? Let's have it right. If a bid comes in for Thomas Soucek in excess of £25 million, do you sell him?
I think 25 is really tempting. I think it would need to be 30 personally. And I think there's a certain Scotsman up north who would probably pay that for him. If he's got the money, I think he's exactly the kind of player that somebody up there would probably want. So, mate, I think if someone comes in with 30 mil for like a guy who's going to be 30 in, I think it's this month. So a 30-year-old, 30 million quid as West Ham, like I think you've got to take it realistically. But like you have to like acknowledge how brilliant he's been for West Ham and like what he does for the club. There's a lot of people who are preying on his downfall and praying for him to be out of the side. I say if you can bring in like a really good six who's a ball player as well, then there's room for him to start again next season. If you can't, then I think it's difficult. I do think it's difficult. But yeah, I certainly think that if you're not getting like if anyone's offering less than 25 mil, I don't even entertain it. I'd rather have him in the squad for 25 million quid.
I'm going to say keep. I think you have to keep him. Like he's a passion merchant. He's a goal scoring midfielder, which they're hard to find. But if a bid comes in of 25 to maybe 30 mil for him, and don't be surprised if a certain Scotsman up north, who we don't name anymore because people get the it wouldn't surprise me if he put a bid in for him. It really wouldn't. Yeah, he's a sort of player that he likes, and he's a sort of player that Everton would probably go for. Naming no names. So yeah, keep for me. What do we do with him, mate? Mr. Carlos Soler.
Right. Anybody who, like, after his 2 good performances was saying, let's activate that clause, needs their head checked. like honestly needs their head checked. Absolute insanity from some areas of our fan base. £27 million option, and some people are saying we should trigger it because he ran around a bit, he scored a goal, and he had 2 good games. Like, let's all relax a little bit. Look, there's very limited circumstances in which I would say go and buy Carlos Soler. One is we have to find where his best position is in this formation, because I can't see it. I can't see anywhere that he actually fits in under Graham Potter. And 2, he actually has to play well for the rest of the season, because he's been bang average so far under Graham Potter, and he's only been playing because we've had injuries. So I guarantee you, now that Paqueta's going to be back, Kudus is fit, Bowen's fit, Ferguson's been signed. Like, there's no way that he starts for West Ham. So, and the third way is you'd have to be paying a fraction of that option to buy, or like 27 million quid is way overpriced. And 4th, he's got to reduce his massive wages as well. He's on like 200 and something grand a week, of which we're paying 80 grand. And I wouldn't even say he's worth paying 80 grand a week for. So there's a lot of things that have got to be taken care of before I even entertain the idea of signing Carlos Soler permanently. So for me, I say gracias, Carlos, but adios.
I make mine short and sweet. Gracias, as the Spanish say. For me, he just doesn't do enough. Doesn't do enough for me to warrant keeping. He hasn't controlled games. He hasn't run games on his own. And sometimes we need players to do that. The only thing I can really think about of what he's done is that pass for the goal against Arsenal, which was an unbelievable pass. Other than that, I can't really remember a lot he has done for West Ham. But for 27 mil, nah, not for me. I'm going to be honest. Right, let's come to this, man. Lucas Paqueta. Oh, what are we saying about the world-class player? What do you say?
Christ. So this is another one. I really like him as a player, and it really annoys me that we were just starting to see him get back towards his best, and more stories come out from his like hearing in Brazil and stuff like that, which is just, you know, that there's a stinker loading for this weekend from Lucas Paqueta because of everything that's coming out. But look, it's neither here nor there. Obviously, we've got to see what happens in the summer. Seems like there's some pretty compelling evidence that's being leaked. Let's say he's found not guilty. I'd want pretty handsome money for him, to be honest, because I think he's the kind of player that we could really get a tune out of under Graham Potter. We're seeing that already.
What's the minimum?
I say you don't sell for less than 50 mil, personally. But and I don't think anyone's coming in and paying 50 mil for him, to be honest. You see there's talk of like Brazil are trying to pinch him off of us, clubs in Brazil, which will never happen. I think he's worth keeping around for another season, mate, personally. If he's not guilty, I think we get the best out of him, and his value only goes up. So he only gets better and his value only goes up. So anyone saying that we should sell him for like 20 mil or something like that, no, I think you keep him around for 20 mil personally.
Tricky one, this one, because obviously if he gets banned, then we're fucked basically.
Yeah,
we've got no one in there. If he gets cleared, I think he might need a fresh start somewhere else. Yeah, I don't think he's as good as what people make out he is. He's had about 3 or 4 games in the whole year that I can remember where he's been decent. I would sell him in excess of between 35 and 45, something in that ballpark. If a club comes in and wants to take him, then they can have him. I think West Ham could go out and find players who could do the same sort of stuff that Lucas Paqueta can in that position. And listen, he's a good player, but he's not a well beater. He's certainly not world class. I'm going to be honest. He's not world class now, and I don't think he's been world class since the collapse of the City move. I think the City move killed him, and I think that's killed his confidence altogether. So if he wants to go back to Brazil, I would say fair enough. Go back to Brazil, if I'm being honest. Right, let's get to the attackers, Jay, and we're going to talk about this man, Luis Guilherme. What are you saying?
Oh, my boy. Look how they massacred my boy. Mate, I don't even know this guy anymore. Like, I'm pleased that Potter's keeping him around. see what he can do with a few cameos here and there. We need a game where we're like 3-0 up and you can bring him on with 30 minutes to go and give him an actual go where you can just go like, mate, go out and enjoy yourself. There was promising signs from when he came on against Chelsea, but nothing to really write home about or get overly excited about. I think if you can get a good loan offer for him next season, then I say send him out. I think there's no world where you should be selling him for less than you paid for him. I just don't see the point in it. A player who's got like a high ceiling, but just needs to be playing football. Like one way or another, he needs to be playing football. So I'd say find him a good loan. I think you came up with a good idea of like send him somewhere in like Belgium or somewhere like that where like he'll get games. It's a reasonable standard, but he'll probably play week in, week out. It's a style of football that will suit him. And then bring him back and see what he can do. And otherwise, his value is only going to go up. So, yeah, I think if you find a good loan place, send him out on loan, mate. But I hope he has a good end to the season and that we see something from him at least.
It's a tricky one, this one, because part of me wants to keep him here and say to us, right, listen, he's here. Right, we need cover on the right hand side, but is he gonna play? That's the $1 million question. Is he going to play games? I think a loan move would be good. A loan move, not to the Championship side. I don't think that's the move. I think a loan to a European side, maybe in the Belgium league, Dutch league, something like that, where he can just sort of get up and running and going to a point. If a bid come in of say 25 mil, we could break even on this bid. I think that's worth considering. So for me, I'm going to say loan him for now, yeah, but if we can't get the personnel in, I'm not opposed to keeping the man. I really am not. Right, let's come to these two, both out of contract. One of them is a club legend, and the other one's a club legend. Jay.
I mean, thank you, Danny Ings, for your 94th minute equaliser against Fulham and for a goal away in Europe. You earned that Conference League winners medal, but I'm sure we'll cross paths again sometime soon. Mikel Antonio, mate, like I've said before and I'll say it again, if this guy has the determination to come back from what he's come back from and looks like he's going to be able to play football again, like, mate, fucking sign him back up and give him one last dance. If he doesn't, then like fair enough. I'll be like heartbroken to not see him play for West Ham ever again. But you know, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? That's purely the sentimental sides. I feel quite strongly on this. We talk about like what it means to like play for West Ham and what it means to what you want to see from the players in front of you. And I want to see Mikel Antonio. The guy's had multiple chances to leave. He's come through like some of the most horrible things in the world. Like he suffered a divorce recently. I'm here for him, mate. I hope he gets better. I know he's in Dubai at the moment going through rehab. I hope it goes well. And I hope he comes back in the summer like ready to like play football before the end of this year. So yeah, I say keep, mate, but purely from a sentimental value.
Danny Ings is a no-brainer. He has to be sold or let go. For me, Antonio is such an hard one because if someone would have said to me this season, Jay, how would you feel about letting him go at the end of the season? Do you think he's worth another contract? The answer to that would probably be no. I'll say, well, let him go and we move on. Obviously, the incident that happened in beginning part of December with him is a bit of a fuck up, really, because like you can't really say goodbye to the man. The only thing I will say is if West Ham's changed their striker front and they go out and get a couple of up and coming strikers, I wouldn't be opposed to giving a Mikel Antonio a year contract. As long as he's like the third choice. Do you know what I mean? He's a sort of player that you bring on or you use for cup games when we're playing teams like fucking Huddersfield or someone like that. Do you know what I mean? He's not our first choice. And listen, every team needs players who are there to do key roles. And I think Mickey is a sort of player that has been a key figure at West Ham. So for me, if there's a year's contract and he's got the hunger to get back and play, I'd give him a 1 year sort of rolling contract, like pay as you play, basically. If not, it's a goodbye. It really is. And we will see what happens with that. Right, we're going to talk about Ferguson. Obviously, we don't know much about him because we haven't seen him play. But what are you saying, Jay, in regards of him? What's he got to do?
I think he's got to score a handful of goals. So like, I don't expect him to come in and be the striker that we've like never had and come in and just bang goals in for fun. Like anyone who's expecting that from him, you're in for a lot of disappointment, I would say. I want to see him get maybe 5, maybe 6 goals. If he gets 5 or 6 goals, he fits into a Potter system. He's someone you could build around for the future. As I've said before, like this guy was rated £100 million like a year ago. And he's now playing for West Ham. Yes, he's on loan, but we potentially have a chance to get him on the cheap. All we got to see is, can he stay fit and can he score a few goals? If the answer to both those questions are yes, then cool. We should be going and looking to try and sign him permanently. But again, it would depend on the price, etc. If he meets both those criteria and he's 40 million quid and Potter says, yes, he's the man, I'm all for it. Because the key thing is Potter knows him better than any of us could ever hope to know him. The fact that he's brought him here on loan means he's seen something in him that he goes, this guy's top quality. If he then can stay fit and he can score a few goals, mate, I'm all for it. So that's what he needs to do for me, and the price has to be right.
What's the minimum he's got to do to sort of warrant staying there? I.e., I know you say goals, but like, what's he got to do to sort of warrant paying 40 million for?
Well, so I think the profile of the player first and foremost would be worth £40 million if he meets those criteria, because he's so young, because he's got such a high ceiling, and because he's going to have the bit between his teeth. Like, you think he's been sat on that Brighton bench for a while. He looked unhappy by the time he was there, like by the end of his time, and he's come back to play for Graham Potter, who, I don't know if you saw the video of like his first day, and he knows all the coaches, obviously. Billy Reid, he was having a laugh and a joke with. This is the kind of environment he's going to come into, and he's going to flourish. That's the kind of environment he came into as an 18-year-old. So I think the profile of the player is like 100% what we should be going for. He needs to score a few goals. And if he does score a few goals, we haven't had a number 9, like, who is fully fit and in those kinds of positions all season. So just by having someone in those positions where they need to be, a fox in the box, he's going to create more space for your Bowens and your Kudus, and your wing backs are going to suddenly have more space as well. And, you know, it could open up this style of play for Graham Potter where it starts to work. So I think if he can score half a dozen goals and he can stay fit, mate, I think he's worth £40 million. And I would say go out and get him on a permanent if Graham Potter wants him.
If you've got someone who wants to sort of revitalise his career, he's the guy, isn't he, at the minute? Because he's no good on Brighton's bench and he needs to be playing first-team football. I agree with what Baz is saying there, Bazza 252, yeah? I don't think Ferguson is like the be-all and end-all. Like, I wanted to see someone else, but for me, I think he's got to work with like what Potter works with to a point. You know what I'm saying? Because we ain't got a lot of choice. So we will see what happens with him. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I'll get to this man, Crescencio Summerville. I want to keep him 1,000%. Great player, never in doubt. Jay, what you saying?
Cried Ben Ramaville. Overrated, not moved. No, I'm joking. Yeah, like, look, if Potter can somehow switch him into this right wing back role that like he played against Villa, mate, we are a frightening team next season. Like, we could be really, really frightening. That's wishful thinking, and knowing West Ham, like, it all goes horribly wrong. But yeah, mate, I'm excited for him to come back. Graham Potter, one day I reckon for one game he'll have a fully fit squad available to choose from, and we'll win that game like 3-4-0. Outside of that, we'll just constantly get injuries for whatever reason because we're West Ham. So yeah, I'm excited to see him come back, especially if he plays that right wing back role, mate. So yeah, let's see what the future holds for him.
Yeah, simple one. Keep, apart from Kane. Let's get to the captain. I think we all agree that we keep him forever and ever and ever and ever. Jay, any words on Bowen?
That value's going up after his beautiful cameo on EastEnders. That's all I can say. Yeah, mate, anyone who thinks Jarrod Bowen's going anywhere, like, cool. If Liverpool want him to replace Salah, cough up 150 million quid and he's yours. Simple as that. I don't think he wants to go anywhere. I don't think he'd ever force a move. I'm pretty sure he's happy being captain of West Ham, and he will be for the foreseeable future. So yeah, I don't see him ever going anywhere, to be honest, mate. And lucky us.
I don't think this man's motivated by trophies like the number 41 was, who doesn't win a trophy, apparently. I see a video of people doing work in the community, Premier League kicks, I think it was, to sort of get youngsters off the streets playing football, and it's local to me at the Bobby Moore Hub in Dagenham. And Bowen's there. He's there. He wants to be a part of it. He wants to be... sort of ingrained in West Ham history. I don't think this man's moving. I don't think this man's going anywhere. The only time I think he ever goes anywhere is abroad. Maybe he might fancy abroad, but he ain't going to be anytime soon. So yeah, I'm absolutely privileged and honoured to have this man playing for our club because, yeah, he's fucking superb, mate. He really is. To a man who's not superb though, who keeps getting injured, and that is Nicholas Fullkrug. What are you saying about him, mate?
Oh, he's a weird one, isn't he? Like, I actually think he's a good player. We just can't get him fit. And again, he's another one who he joined, and like, I think he regretted joining as soon as he joined as well. Like, we just weren't the right match for him, and he joined, and Lopetegui was just a bit of a dickhead, and like, then he got injured, and then he probably made his injury out to be worse than it was, and sat in Germany for a couple of months. And yeah, there's a lot of problems there, mate. Which is a shame because what could have been, like, I reckon he could have been a really good striker for West Ham, but it's just a match made in hell, isn't it? Let's see what we can get from him in the summer. I think you've got to sell him, move on, funds towards either Evan Ferguson or whoever the 30-40 million pound striker is we end up signing. And then, yeah, get like maybe a loan signer or someone like that. But like, as football says, how do you sell a croc? Like what is his residual value now? Like, it's probably not a lot. 10 mil maybe, I don't know, but cash in, get his wages off the books, and like, let's get someone young and hungry in.
I am going to say, if Antonio doesn't get given a contract, I think you might have to keep this geezer because you're gonna start running out of players to a point. Excuse me. I look at this man as not a person that you sell in the summer. You sell him in the January window. Yeah, you get through to the first 6 months, and then basically look to sell him. Then, well, I think we need to boost his value back up because his value's gone, like, it's shot to shit. Really, like, who's going to really want to pay anything for this man? Really, because he's the way he is at currently right now. He's not that good. So he's got a bit of a problem with that. I would say keep him for now. I'll see what Potter can do with a younger striker. If you've got, just for argument's sake, we sign Evan Ferguson, you've got Fullkrug, and maybe you bring another striker in, a young up-and-coming striker, nothing too mental, then it starts looking like the team's building towards something. I don't think you can get rid of this geezer, though, just yet. I really don't. And it's going to be tricky to get rid of him, Antonio, Ings, and then replace them all in one window, in my opinion. Yeah. Let's come to this man, final man of the list that I've got, and that is Mohamed Kudus. He's the man of the moment. He's the man who has been basically said sell on the thumbnail. I mean, it was like going mad. What you
clickbaiter, you James, you clickbaiter.
It wasn't me. It was Cam. Cam, wherever you are, son. Wherever you are.
Well, Cam, you the clickbaiter. Mate, I say, unless someone comes calling, unless that sweet Saudi money comes calling and activates his release clause, I say keep him. I still think the best yet to come from him. I think it will take time for him to get used to the Graham Potter system. He's operating a little bit more centrally, which I think in time will work, especially with Evan Ferguson operating on the last defender, but then dropping him when he needs to. I think that will help him. He's got to figure out the interchanges with the left-sided 10 or the right-sided 10 when he moves over to the left, and with the centre forwards. And I think that will come. Like, mate, we've seen a Mohamed Kudus who's problems off the pitch. He had like very public disagreements with the previous head coach. And you could see he's just lacking confidence. His decision-making isn't quite there. So I think it will get there. I don't think he's been found out from Trudge there. Like, I don't think he's been found out. I think he's been lacking confidence more than anything. When you see him reach that like level, remember the goal he scored against City where he was stuck out on the left at home, and he just went, "Do you know what? I'm going to drop in," and he drops in. He skinned a couple of players, played a brilliant ball out wide to Bowen, and Bowen whipped one in, and it went in off the arse of the defender. So he's got it. It's still in there. And I think it will come again. But I don't think anyone's going to come and pay 85 mil unless a Saudi club does it. So I think he stays, mate, and I'll be happy with it.
If someone comes in there and offers you 70 mil, do you take it? That's the $1 million question. I look at Mo. I think he's being harshly treated by some of the fan base. I really do. I think he's been playing out on the fucking left when he's not a left-sided attacker. He's a right-sided attacker. I'd like to see him as a 10. I'd like to see Bowen on the right, him as a 10, maybe Summerville on the left and then a centre forward up front, and go down that route and see how we can do. I agree with you. I don't see an Arsenal or Liverpool coming in and paying that money for him, because he hasn't done enough this season to warrant 85 mil. So if a Saudi club does come in and offer us 85 mil and they take him out of there, then I think, you know what, we hold all the cards here, yeah, and it's going to benefit us. Whatever happens, he's tied to West Ham, and he ain't going to go nowhere other than for 85 mil. But I would like to see him as a 10. I don't like to see him on the left-hand side, and I certainly don't like to see him basically floating about and having no confidence whatsoever. I agree with that comment there. Could have some one of the most talented players with since Pyatt. We need to keep them. See, they are talented players, but I do think Mo's confidence levels are shot to shit. So I'm going to say keep. I don't want our best players being sold. And he's one of our best players at the minute. I will say that. Jay, any final words from you, son?
Not really. I'm sure we'll be back to talk about Brentford on the weekend. Looking forward to it. Hopefully Carl McCauley has got some tricks up his sleeve for the summer. We need to do some serious player trading. I've said before, another signing we need to make is a new technical director. I can't be dealing with David Sullivan's mischief in a transfer window for the long summer transfer window. It's going to be painful, and it will be very difficult for us to rebuild a squad with that man pulling the string. So hopefully we get somebody in who's a technical director to support McCauley, and hopefully we unearth some gems and we build the squad properly in the summer.
Right.
But we'll see.
I'm going to put you on the spot now. After we've just done this video, give me 3 players, right? Only 3 that you would say, right, I do not want at the club next season.
As in, of our players that you don't want to see at the club, I would say Guido Rodriguez, Mavropanos, and Danny Ings. Danny Ings is a bit of a cop out, but
yeah, it's a little bit. It is what it is. Cop out FC. Yeah, I'm saying. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know if you agree or disagree with what we've said today. For me, the 3 that I'd like to get rid of. Oh dear, I think I'm going to say it. Alvarez is one of them. I think it's a problem. I think we could find better and not be sort of relying on the referee not to send the man off. Mavropanos. And I am going to probably say Guido. Yeah. So, yeah, it's all changed, but other than Alvarez for me. Do you know what I mean? Mavropanos, Guido, and Alvarez. Special like on the video. Subscribe to E20 Zone TV. Hit notification bell and all that. I shall be back soon. Don't know when. Probably tomorrow night. I might do something tomorrow night. Have a open mic night and let everyone on. Anyway, from me to you. Take care of yourselves and each other. Hype.